everybody, today I'm on Minecraft today and I'm giving a little gaming tutorial. This is specifically going to be on Enchanting, since a lot of new players have been coming to the game recently. I've decided to make a little Minecraft tutorial on this, and I'm going to show you specifically the basics of Enchanting and some more advanced things in my 7 years of experience that I've caught on to. So first thing you need to enchant, well, you don't need to enchant this, but you need this to enchant. You need something called the enchanting table, and the enchanting table is crafted like so. You use 4 obsidian, 2 diamonds, and a book. You craft a book, like over here, with 3 paper, a piece of leather, and you can get a book. So if I go back right here, and here, once you do this recipe, you'll have the enchanting table. And so I am going to get some lapis out, because you need this to enchant. So if you'll notice, when we open up the enchantment table, you'll get something like this. And by the way, I am playing on the Bedrock edition, you may have noticed, but some of this stuff may not apply to Java. So I'm going to put in my lapis. I'm also going to put in my diamond sword. By the way, I am in creative, so even though I'm putting in lapis, I actually don't need to put it in. But if you were in survival, you have to put it in. So for now, I'm going to put it in because this is what you do in survival. And so the numbers, you might notice that 3 bars show up when I put in the sword and the lapis. So on the left side of the bar, you'll see the numbers 1, 2, 3. And that's how much lapis that enchantment will take. So I can select a bar. I'm not going to click on it. I'm just hovering over it. And so when I hover over it, if I were to click it, then it would use 1 lapis. It won't use any in this case because I'm in creative, but in survival it would. For this one it would use 2, for this one it would use 3, and it'll always do that in this same order. However, right over here, this is the XP. So this takes 2 XP, 2 levels of experience, and right now you don't see my experience bar, but if I were to change to survival, I will have an experience bar at the bottom. So with that, change back to creative here, and with that you can see that that's how much experience you need. So you need 2 levels for this one, 5 levels for this one, and this could differentiate slightly. Oh, looks like it didn't that time. But if you used maybe different things, or if you enchanted it a time, then it would change. And so, if I were to enchant my sword, right here, we could do it with 2. And if you notice, when I hover over it, it gives you a little preview as to what it could give. You'll see that it says Unbreaking 1 right here. That means that I am confirmed Unbreaking 1 on my diamond sword if I were to enchant with this selection. If I were to go here, I know that if I were to choose this bar, I would be confirmed Bane of Arthropods 1. Here, I would also be confirmed Bane of Arthropods 1. Now, you might notice the ... question mark at the end of all 3 of them. That means there's a potential that I may get other enchantments with it. So let's go with the highest one. And see, even though I got Bane of Arthropods 1, I also got Unbreaking 1, which was randomized, and I also got Knockback 1. And by the way, if you notice here, it has this weird language here, but it doesn't really, it's the standard galactic alphabet. It doesn't really translate into anything, so if you bother to translate it, it won't actually like give you a clue as to what it gives. It's just random Minecraft stuff to trick you. Now you might be wondering, well, and if you know what some of the enchants do, you'll know that, this is decent, but it's not too good. How do I improve what enchantments I can get? Well, you can improve it by using this thing. It's called a bookshelf. And what it does, and well, how you craft it is, you use 3 planks of wood on the top and the bottom, like so, and you use 3 books, and you get a bookshelf. And as you can see, I've placed some of these right around my enchantment table. And you'll notice that there are these particles going towards it. It'll take some time, and there you go. You can see some particles going towards my enchantment table. And I'll pull out a sword just to keep things even. I'll pull out a few. And I don't really need my axe then. I'll keep like a shovel on me. But if I were to put this here, now you'll notice that the lapis values have stayed the same, but these levels, how much it costs to enchant, increases a lot. So you can see that the bookshelves increase how much it costs. Now you might be wondering, why would I waste resources on bookshelves when all it does is increase the cost for enchanting? And that's a good question. And the reason behind that is, you actually get better enchant. So if I scroll over, knockback 1, which is a pretty decent enchant. We got sharpness 2, which is another thing, and you got smite 3, which is also another enchant that comes with this. So all three of these are relatively better, speaking from an enchanting standpoint, than what we saw in the previous table. What we saw in the previous table. Sorry, just wanted to fix that. So if I choose one of these, let's say I choose the max one again, and we got fire aspect 1 with that. And just saying, I'm not going to talk about the rarity of enchantments specifically, but it's pretty hard to get that on a diamond weapon, and with bookshelves, it can be easier to get. Now, let's say, and if you guys know the thing about bookshelves, it's when you break them without Silk Touch. Silk Touch is an enchantment. I'll talk about it in part 2 of this little mini-series, but let's say you don't have... let's say the enchantments are too high for you. You don't want high-level enchants, you want low-level enchants. Now what you could do, you could break all the bookshelves, but in a survival situation, you wouldn't want to do that. And the reason being is that these bookshelves, they only drop the books when you break them, except with Silk Touch, and I'll explain what Silk Touch does later. So, assuming you don't have Silk Touch, your best bet is to actually just cover this in torches. And the reason we do that is because now you can see that even though we have the bookshelves, we don't see any of those weird particles. We might see one occasionally due to some open thing, but we really won't see it. Oh god, whatever. And so if you break these torches again, then you'll see the particles start to come back towards it. And you can see I broke some of the torches, so you'll see the occasional particle go through, but really you're not going to see that much. So if you feel like the previous prices were too expensive, you can use those torches to sort of decrease the cost. And you can put a sword in here. This is the original, and if you put the torches, you might have seen just a few seconds ago that it was pretty cheap, comparable to what we saw in the old one. Now if we go here, where I put books virtually around the whole thing, on the roof, on everywhere, what are we going to get here? Even, like, I put it in the corners, and I don't even know if those influence it, but here we go. Like, you can see already that 3, 8, 30. 30 is the most that you'll ever have to spend on an enchantment in an enchantment table. Except with a mod, maybe. And then if we go here, Unbreaking 1, that's not too shabby for a 3 level. Then if we go here, we got Knockback 1. And then Smite 4. Anything with 4 is pretty hard to get. And getting that on your first try is pretty hard. But to be honest, Smite isn't that good of an enchant. Nothing to really write home about. And we're going to go with that. And that is actually a really good sword. Smite 4, Unbreaking 3, Fire Aspect 2. And I'll explain what those enchantments do in part 2. But for now, you can just assume that that's a pretty good enchant. And that's not what you're confirmed. So if I put this diamond sword in, you'll notice I have something fairly different. Okay, this is not as good, but yeah, so we can use that. So that's the book recipe from before. And so you might have noticed that I was putting in swords the whole time. Well, what else can you put in besides swords? Well, I'm going to show you that right now. So this is a list of everything you can enchant in an enchanting table. And you might have noticed that if you've ever watched another person's Let's Play, you might have seen something like an elytra enchanted. Yet I did not put it on this list. And I'll explain why. So here's everything that you can enchant in an enchanting table. Swords, axes, pickaxes, shovels, tridents, any type of armor except the elytra. And you can put in bows, you can do fishing rods, crossbows, books, and you can do carrots on sticks. So any of these things you can put in the enchanting table and it'll work. Some of you might not believe me on the carrot on a stick thing. I initially didn't know until I was preparing for this video. But there you go, you can actually enchant it, and I got Unbreaking 1. There's not too much that you can actually get with the carrot and stick, but yeah, you can enchant it. Now here are the things which you can put enchantments on, but you can't do it with an enchanting table. For example, I'll actually show you. I'll just list them out first. Oh god. So, we got shears, flint and steel, hoe, we got elytra, and we have shields. So all of those things, if you try to put them, I'll give the example of, let's say, shears. I'm gonna search up shears here and put it in there. You'll notice we cannot enchant it in the enchanting table. It won't let us. However, all of these things can still have enchantments on them. And how do you do that? You do that with an anvil. And I put the crafting recipe right here. It's a pretty expensive recipe compared to some of the others. Some people would be willing to argue that the enchanting table is more costly, but the anvil is pretty costly too. 3 iron blocks and 4 iron ingots for 1 anvil. And this is what it looks like when it's placed on the ground. It does follow gravity if you're curious. But if I'd get a book, and you can only, and there's not many enchants you can put on these. You can only put stuff like Unbreaking and Mending, and so there you go. I just got a pair of shears with Unbreaking 3 on them. Not too useful. Shears become kind of not useful after a while in survival. But if you really want a pair of shears that lasts a long time, there you go. So either way, that's it for part 1 of this enchanting tutorial. I hope this helped you, and thank you.